So Ascendance of a Bookworm, doing a double episode review because last week I was a little busy and then YouTube was giving me troubles yesterday, so I couldn't get it up yesterday. So here we are to talk about, honestly, combined together, it flows really nicely. I mean, this was some of the best Bookworm content I honestly think we've seen to date. I've been a big supporter of the new characters after we saw Fran and just his development and his kind of changing of his attitude towards mine because of everything that's happened. I was really excited to see both Gil and Delia and just see what would happen with them because, yeah, they were bratty, they were stuck up, but I mean, look at how they are raised. If you don't have a good master, you're going to starve, and if you don't have a master at all, you're still going to starve, and it's going to be a lot worse, and you have a girl who basically is trying to sell her body at a child's age, because that's just noble society and what is expected of a young girl. This is not a society that raises kids in a healthy manner. This is one that uses them, abuses them, because they are nobility and they are nothing but mindless fodder. It's completely understandable, and you could say even justifiable with the way these characters were acting. Does it suck to be a character like mine and having just people like that work for you? Of course, I'm not going to say it's not. But that's a realistic way to write servants, and the transition for all of them supporting mine, it honestly felt genuine. It didn't feel forced, it didn't feel convenient. Sure, it may have happened a little sooner than I was expecting. I thought both of these characters would be over the next few episodes before they would fully support our girl, but the way they started supporting and just the uncertainty with the show in general, I think they did a remarkable job. I mean, you can just look at last week's episode. You get Gil on your side, and then you also get Delia. I was expecting maybe one at most, and then they gave us both of them. Sure, there was a little uncertainty about certain aspects, like the idea of basically wanting to be the overseer of all the orphans, and would that work? Would she be able to hire them in for the workshop so they would be able to be fed and they'd be useful? There was some uncertainty if Delia would be able to keep her loyalty, and it seems like she is, and that's really nice, I have to say. I mean, if we just take a look at Gil himself, he was actually my most anticipated character in terms of character development out of the three, because I completely understood where he was coming from even before we saw his backstory. It was clear as day, the boy was starving, he was literally dying, and his master, while yes, he was treating her like shit, at the same time, he's been treated like shit since probably before he even remembers the happiest memory in his life. He probably doesn't even have the happiest memory. It's probably just eating one time. So it's understandable why he would lash out, and literally any human would do the same. They would either die or they would lash out because they're angry. And because he's an emotional kid, the anger makes total sense. Doesn't make him punchable at times. I'm not going to say otherwise. But the fact of the matter is you look at his life and it's understandable why he would not trust someone, especially someone who was just given a blue robe and he literally is starving and just is dying. That's literally what's happening. And his entire point was to simply join up because if he serves her, he should in theory be able to have his stomach full of tasty foods. And once you see that she's completely forgetting her duties to take care of them and going home on her walks, the asshole persona would obviously get cranked up a notch, or 10 in his case. So it was really nice to see how once she realizes, because this is completely new territory for mine, I think they did a remarkable job at showcasing why she is so oblivious. Like, she doesn't understand. I mean, she was literally wearing her blue robe in the market. She changes in front of the people. She literally just says her feelings without holding back. And you can look at a character like Fernand, who hates the way the church is, but he plays the role, so he still has influence and power, and slowly but surely can probably do things that will make him more happy in the long run, rather than being an emotional girl who says, screw this is horrible, and causes a lot more issues than she solves. Because even if she gets the orphans out of trouble for now, should she handle it improperly, it's going to cause more issues down the line, and it would be way worse for them to have maybe a year of happiness and then get thrown right back into the situation, which is why I'm glad she has support that kind of brings her down to a normal level, so she actually has to think things through rather than just acting rash. And to see just the moments where she gave the characters a chance to say, hey, I'm not going to feed you, I'm not going to clothe you unless you prove your worth. You have to work for your stuff. And it was great to see a kid who apparently never did anything in his life. He's like one of the most basic servants you could have, and he did a remarkable job at cleaning and just showing his loyalty, and it was great. I mean, you can even just look at how he broke down and cried, not only just for happiness and thanks, because she gave him this praise and just really made him feel special, but when he was so scared for the orphans because that easily could be him again. It's really nice to see the emotional high points of these characters, and you can even just look at Delia herself. I mean, she literally thought working for mine was to flatter the men that come to visit her, and it's disgusting, it is, but that's the gross, this horrible shit that goes on in this society, And I am so glad that mine is their kind of overseer, the person that gives them orders, that they aren't going to have scraps of food. Like, literally, it's such a shitty society that they can't eat until their master says that they can, or what they're really used to is they get the scraps, where she's like, no, I give you this order, eat your damn lunch. And it's really great to see how the characters react, because it's just difference in the cultural society, you know, eating with your hands rather than a fork. Like, they had to eat the pizza with a fork, things like that. I mean, I know some people just do that. To me, it's a little weird, I'm not gonna lie, but still, you know, there's a difference in culture and how people perceive things. And it's really nice to see how characters like mine are growing in this situation, because it definitely feels like she's getting more comfortable, despite still having that, like, outlandish persona where she says whatever's on her mind, which can be good, but could also easily get her killed, kidnapped, or something even worse. She could lose everything very easily, and it's interesting how money really is a huge factor in this area. Like, you just look at a lot of it, and they try to make it so noble, but in very church fashion, it's all about the money, and if you don't have money, if you don't have worth, then yeah, some bad things are happening, and it's really interesting to see what they're doing with it. And honestly, Gil was my most anticipated character for development, and it was just as good as I was expecting, but Delia is an interesting character because she had a horrible persona. I'm not going to say she didn't, but look at how she's raised, and the people that she was surrounded by, they literally raised her to be a little slut. Like, that's what they were raising her for, and like, it is just insane to think that this is a church, right? Like, this is what's happening, and you can understand why Fernand wants a character like mine to be more cautious, because she does have power. She does have wealth. She can make a lot of differences, but only if she's careful, because the last thing she wants is to say the wrong thing, and then she wakes up and she realizes, oh shit, I can't wake up because my head's cut off, because that could easily happen if she says or does the wrong move. And it's interesting how characters even like Delia are willing to keep secrets, at least for the time being, or so she says, and I really hope she's going to stick by it, because I really like the trio that she has going for her, and the fact that she's literally hiring all of the orphans to make sure that she can not only mass produce paper, but also keep children fed, because you know damn well the church isn't. Fernand's been one of my favorite characters ever since he's been introduced, because he's such an anomaly. You never know what he's thinking, and I'm really glad they touched upon it in the latest episode, where he cares more, if not just as much as characters like mine, but he's very cautious to play the part, because the last thing you want is for certain eyes or ears to see or hear that, and then it get passed along, and you get bumped down to Ranked 3. Or you get killed, or you get kidnapped, right? There's always that uncertainty, so it's going to be really interesting to see how mine will be able to evolve into a role similar, so she cares and does the right thing, but doesn't go overboard, and I think that's going to be really exceptional. I mean, the past 2 episodes in a binge were just so intriguing. I mean, they obviously were great individually, but just with the story they were telling here, it has me very excited for the next week's episode, and just, I'm really excited to see where the party's going to go now that they're more or less in a neutral, if not very positive field now. Incredibly excited. The character development over these past 2 weeks is some of, if not the best that I've seen in Bookworm, and that's saying a hell of a lot, I know, but it really did hook me, and I'm glad that the new characters actually feel relevant, they have a personality, they have character development, and actually feels like you want to see where their future will go, rather than saying we should just cut ties with them like maybe we wanted to when we were first introduced to them. As much as I loved the setting and just what they were doing with the first season, with just the creation of things and all that fun jazz, I mean, going to the woods and trying to make paper over paper, and just, it always was failing with clay and things like that. I love that, and I love the house just area and things like that, but the setting of the church is so much more intriguing than anything we've seen up until this point, and settings play a huge role in terms of making something interesting. The fact that we can still have the creation of things, the fact that they have an oven, they can make food that just looks so delicious, and you can tell these characters are blown away by this modern way of thinking. It's great to have that. It's great to still see the merchant stuff. Lutz is still kicking around, which is awesome. He stood up for mine, which was an amazing moment, I have to say. All of that content is still alive and well from the first season, but they added in such a horrible setting that also has so much web of possibilities for intriguing plot lines that you can't help but just smile, feel fear, and just want to see the next episode. You want to see the next moment, and you never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get a horrible priest that is going to cut your head off, or someone who wants to support your dreams, just kind of hold you down a peg or 3? And that's what's really cool about this, is it feels like Ascendance of Bookworm. The longer you watch it, the more the world can open up, and the more settings and characters you can meet, and in doing so, it becomes all the more fascinating without losing what made it great from before. Like, Season 1's content and ideas are still alive and well. Maybe they're not dominating as much as the church content, but this is new territory, and I'm really glad they're taking it in that, because for just having a church, it could be the most boring setting of all time, but by making it so corrupt and have it be so just wealth-based, it allows for some of the most emotionally engaging plot lines we're gonna watch this year. I'm gonna go as far to say that, because Bookworm knows how to be emotional, don't get me wrong, it knows how to be cute and fun, but it also knows how to bring those feels, and they're doing a great job already with just the intro chunk of this season, and who knows what the future is going to bring. I'm damn excited, I can say that for sure, but man, Bookworm is just one of the best anime over the past year, without a doubt in my mind. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on either last week or this week's episode of Ascendance of the Bookworm Season 2 down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, share your support, remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.